Do you get? So you need to have that vision that I am going to be great.
Where do you see yourself? What do you want to become? Can I have someone answer?
My name is David Sebulwa Daniel. I want to become a chartered accountant.
You want to become a chartered accountant? Thank you.
So the way to avoid distraction is, starting point is have goals, write them down, be looking at them, and commit to doing those things.
My name is Gladigeshi Abramon. I am a student of Ajay Comprehensive Senior High School. I really enjoy the section of the International Day of the Men Child because today I am motivated and I'm going to add more things, discover my potential and work on it and achieve my goals. And I understand today that ways of achieving a goal is by determination and patience. Having patience and determination will help you to discover a lot of things. And I really appreciate CardinalStone for their support.
I am strong, kind, and capable of achieving great things.
Thank you very much, Cardinal.
We celebrate our 15th anniversary. We are inspired by the words of Nelson Mandela and have embarked on a heartfelt mission to give back to the community.
Senior high school, with support of the government, we were able to get access to the school. So what we did was to help them set up an ICT lab that has 21 computers. We also had 21 workstations. We provided them with 9 kVA solar inverter system and air conditioning system. We renovated them. The hall that houses this ICT facilities, and also did some renovation at the school.
About 4 years ago, I always dreamed of having a befitting ICT laboratory for my students. Today, I would say it's a dream come true. I want to say thank you very much to CardinalStone.
At CardinalStone, we firmly believe that quality education is the key to unlocking a brighter future for generations to come.
This laboratory is going to help me and my colleagues to learn more and go deep in technology.
I want to say thank you so much to CardinalStone who have provided us with this great opportunity.
Thank you, CardinalStone. We love you.
We also journeyed to Modupe Cole Memorial, where we discovered another vital need, a school closet that held the potential to be transformed into a sanctuary of inspiration.
For Modupe Cole Memorial, just walking into the hostel prior to the execution of this project, everywhere was in disarray. The children didn't have wardrobes, their nets were torn. As little as these things may sound, just ensuring that the project was able to renovate the hostel, provide these wardrobes and fix the nets, we believe that this would improve the well-being of these children.
They have tried as much as possible to make sure that they give us a befitting wardrobe, and apart from that, they repair a door for us and they do a lot of mosquito nets.
These CSR initiatives are not just a celebration of our 15-year journey, but also a testament to the values that define us: empathy, dedication, and a commitment to fostering growth.
Laboratory is going to help me and my colleagues.
And they do a lot of mosquito nets.
These CSR initiatives are not just a celebration of our 15-year journey, but also a testament to the values that define us: empathy, dedication, and a commitment to fostering growth. Together, let us continue to write a story of progress, where every child's dream is nurtured and every mind is ignited with the flame of knowledge.
That houses this ICT facilities, and also did some renovation at the school.
About 4 years ago, I always dreamed of having a befitting ICT laboratory for my students. Today, I would say it's a dream come true. I want to say thank you very much to CardinalStone.
At CardinalStone, We firmly believe that quality education is the key to unlocking a brighter future for generations to come.
This laboratory is going to help me and my colleagues to learn more and go deep in technology.
I would say thank you so much to CardinalStone who have provided us with this great opportunity.
Thank you, CardinalStone. We love you.
We also journeyed to Modupe Cole Memorial, where we discovered another vital need, a school closet that held the potential to be transformed into a sanctuary of inspiration.
For Modupe Cole Memorial, just walking into the hostel prior to the execution of this project, everywhere was in disarray. The children didn't have wardrobes, their nets were torn. As little as these things may sound, just ensuring that the project was able to renovate the hostel, provide these wardrobes and fix the nets, we believe that this would improve the well-being of these children.
They have tried as much as possible to make sure that they give us a befitting wardrobe, and apart from that, they repair a door for us and they do a lot of mosquito net.
These CSR initiatives are not just a celebration of our 15-year journey, but also a testament to the values that define us: empathy, dedication, and a commitment to fostering growth. Together, let us continue to write a story of progress, where every child's dream is nurtured and every mind is ignited with the flame of knowledge.
My name is Oladibolu Rashida, a student of Ade Comprehensive High School. Happy International Women's Day. Well, before I proceed, I would like to say a big thank you to CardinalStone. They've made this day a great day for us. I learned a lot about International Women's Day today. How women can be strong, how we can regain strength, how we can build our mind and build a nation. They encourage us on how we should know that we are important. Females are important in the world.
The program that CardinalStone came today to do for the students is really inspiring. In fact, it's a very good one that I know inspired the students to speak out and have confidence in themselves. The girls were able to stand up and air their minds.
My name is Olusegun Olabinton, the Vice Principal Administration of Ajay Comprehensive Senior High School. It's a wonderful opportunity to witness the International Women's Day. It's such a wonderful program that actually say a lot of things concerning what women, what they've achieved so far, and what they are still going to achieve. It happens to be something of reference point for the younger generation, most especially the girl child.
My voice matters, and I have the power to make a difference.
My voice matters, and I have the power to make a difference.
Look at your neighbor and tell them you what? Look at them and say you matter.
You matter.
Yes, you matter. We all matter. Clap for yourselves.
A girl means strong and powerful. Like a girl means knowledgeable. Like a girl means helping other people.
My name is Adeyinka Dawodu. I've learned so many things. I learned to be myself, and then I found the long desired help about my self-esteem and building myself up. Thanks to CardinalStone and Happy International Women.
Hello.
My name is Mrs. Idowu Mutsunrayo. I'm a mathematics teacher in Ajay Comprehensive Senior High School. Well, I feel great about the celebration of International Women's Day. You know, it is set aside for us to actually appreciate women. It's a day to actually tell us and remind us that we are important, we are beautiful, we can do anything we set our mind to do. And that being a woman is not a weakness, it is actually a very good thing. My word of encouragement to every woman is that you are enough just the way you are, and you can become whatever you set your mind to be. Thank you.
My name is Adela Buzainab. I'm a student of Ajay Comprehensive Senior High School. I'm in SS3. The International Women's Day is a very great day for which to celebrate our girl child, to make them know that they are wonderful, they are beautiful, they are bold, and and they are courageous. With CardinalStone Investment today, I've learned that we can do it. We will, we must, and we will do it.
Happy International Women's Day!
My name is Oladibolu Rashida, a student of Ade Comprehensive High School. Happy International Women's Day. Well, before I proceed, I would like to say a big thank you to Cardinal.
15 years ago, a vision was born. A vision that would lead to countless achievements, remarkable growth, and success. Join us as we take a journey through the exceptional milestones of CardinalStone at 15. Celebrating a decade and a half of excellence. 2008, 4 partners unite to establish CardinalStone Partners as a full-service investment bank. 2011, expansion in full swing. CardinalStone strengthens market presence with the acquisition of Plural Securities, now CardinalStone Securities. 2013, new heights reached. CardinalStone Partners successfully acquired City Securities Registrars Limited, propelling CardinalStone Registrars to one of the top firms in the industry. 2014, CardinalStone's ascendancy, emerging as one of the top 10 dealing firms in volume and value on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, now the Nigerian Exchange. 2015, expanding our reach. CardinalStone establishes a thriving presence with the opening of our Abuja office. 2016, CardinalStone launches CS Advance, now CardinalStone Finance, as a subsidiary to offer secured financing solutions. 2016, CardinalStone Capital Advisors is spun off to raise its $64 million first private equity fund, and now has 5 high-growth companies in its portfolio: iFitness, AppZone, QFA, Afia, Linden Farms. 2020, CardinalStone opens state-of-the-art office building in Yaba, Lagos. 2020, CardinalStone achieves remarkable subscription success for 10 billion naira commercial paper program, surpassing targets of 5 billion naira, with 7.1 billion naira received. 2021, breaking grounds. CardinalStone Asset Management launches as a wholly owned subsidiary, paving the way for enhanced investment opportunities. CardinalStone launches CardinalStone Trustees as another subsidiary to enhance its efforts in facilitating long-term financial security. CardinalStone launches the Fixed Income Alpha Fund, a groundbreaking mutual fund offering highly competitive returns and financial growth opportunities. 2022, pioneering progress. CardinalStone welcomes Shirley Somua as the first female non-founding partner, making a momentous step towards gender diversity and inclusion. 2022, a landmark achievement. CardinalStone Securities leads the way as stockbroker for Titan Trust Bank Limited in the historic acquisition and divestment of 93.41% stake in Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, setting a new record on the Nigerian Exchange as the firm that handled the largest deal ever on the country's capital markets. 2022, recognized as an exceptional workplace, CardinalStone earns the prestigious endorsement as a great place to work. 2022, driving growth across borders. CardinalStone Capital Advisors unveils a new office in Accra, Ghana, strengthening our commitment to African markets. 2022, making history. CardinalStone Securities earns highest accolades from the Nigerian Exchange, emerging as Nigeria's premier securities firm in 2022, breaking long-standing records as the first non-bank-backed entity to achieve this feat. 2023, a new era of leadership. Elile Olutimayin joins CardinalStone Partners as an executive director, pioneering diversity as the first female on the executive board. In the past 5 years, we have bagged over 15 awards, and these awards are a testament to all we have achieved. To our clients, partners, and employees, we extend our deepest gratitude. Your trust and support have been instrumental to our success. Here's to the next 15 years of innovation, collaboration, and achievements together. "15 years ago, a vision was born. A vision that would lead to countless achievements, remarkable growth, and success. Join us as we take a journey through the exceptional milestones of CardinalStone at 15. Celebrating a decade and a half of excellence. 2008, 4 partners unite to establish CardinalStone Partners as a full-service investment bank. 2011, expansion in full swing. CardinalStone strengthens market presence with the acquisition of Plural Securities, now CardinalStone Securities. 2013, new heights reached. CardinalStone Partners successfully acquired City Securities Registrars Limited, propelling CardinalStone Registrars to one of the top firms in the industry. 2014, CardinalStone's ascendancy, emerging as one of the top 10 dealing firms in volume and value on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, now the Nigerian Exchange. 2015, expanding our reach. CardinalStone establishes a thriving presence with the opening of our Abuja office. 2016, CardinalStone launches CS Advance, now CardinalStone Finance, as a subsidiary to offer secured financing solutions. 2016, CardinalStone Capital Advisors is spun off to raise its $64 million first private equity fund, and now has 5 high-growth companies in its portfolio: iFitness, AppZone, QFA, Afia, Linden Farms. 2020, CardinalStone opens state-of-the-art office building in Yaba, Lagos. 2020, CardinalStone achieves remarkable subscription success for 10 billion naira commercial paper program, surpassing targets of 5 billion naira, with 7.1 billion naira received. 2021, breaking grounds. CardinalStone Asset Management launches as a wholly owned subsidiary, paving the way for enhanced investment opportunities. CardinalStone launches CardinalStone Trustees as another subsidiary to enhance its efforts in facilitating long-term financial security. CardinalStone launches the Fixed Income Alpha Fund, a groundbreaking mutual fund offering highly competitive returns and financial growth opportunities. 2022, pioneering progress. CardinalStone welcomes Shirley Somua as the first female non-founding partner, making a momentous step towards gender diversity and inclusion. 2022, a landmark achievement. CardinalStone Securities leads the way as stockbroker for Titan Trust Bank Limited in the historic acquisition and divestments of 93.41% stake in Union Bank of Nigeria PLC, setting a new record on the Nigerian exchange as the firm that handled the largest deal ever on the country's capital markets. 2022, recognized as an exceptional workplace, CardinalStone earns the prestigious endorsement as a great place to work. 2022, driving growth across borders. CardinalStone Capital Advisors unveils a new office in Accra, Ghana, strengthening our commitment to African markets. 2022, making history. CardinalStone Securities earns highest accolades from the Nigerian exchange, emerging as Nigeria's premier securities firm in 2022, breaking long-standing records as the first non-bank backed entity to achieve this feat. 2023, a new era of leadership. Elile Olutimayin joins CardinalStone Partners as an executive director, pioneering diversity as the first female on the executive board. In the past 5 years, we have bagged over 15 awards, and these awards are a testament to all we have achieved. To our clients, partners, and employees, we extend our deepest gratitude. Your trust and support have been instrumental to our success. Here's to the next 15 years of innovation, collaboration, and achievements together.
Oh dear. Can we please all rise for the national anthem? Dancing. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful, we seek refuge in God from Satan the accursed. I welcome each and every one of you to the maiden edition of the CardinalStone Private Forum being held for the first time in Abuja. The theme of this event is preserving your wealth and your legacy. It truly is an honor to be part of this prestigious gathering, a much-needed conversation around something we all know is important, but many of us push aside until it's too late. Wealth transfer, legacy, and how to make sure our life's work doesn't spark a family feud and our legacy doesn't get truncated by jousting and jostling loved ones long after we are gone. We've gathered some of the finest and the brightest the creme de la creme from all over the country, experts in law, finance, real estate, Islamic estate planning, and taxation. I welcome each and every one of you. I would like to first of all recognize our special guest of honor, His Highness Khalifa Mohammed Sanusi II, PhD, Sarkin Kano. You're very welcome, sir. I'm not sure if he has joined us yet, but we are also welcoming the former Minister of Finance, Alhaji Mansour Mokhtar, for joining us as well. Oh yes, he is here. Thank you for joining us, sir. You're welcome. To the co-founder and GMD of CardinalStone, it's Michael Nzewi. Where are you, sir? You're welcome. To another co-founder and partner, Mr. Mohammed Garuba. Where are you, sir? Okay, he has stepped out. All right, he will join us soon. Another co-founder and partner, Ms. Femi Ogunjimi. Where are you, ma'am? You're welcome, sir. Oh, sorry. And then I think he's joining us virtually, another co-founder and partner, Mr. Yomi Jemi Biwong. You're welcome virtually. And then the group executive director, Ms. Elile Olutimai. You're welcome, ma'am. I'm not feeling this thing, it's not entering. To the director of CardinalStone Trustees, Mrs. Adenike Tokumbo Ajayi. Where are you, ma'am? You're welcome. And joining us virtually all the way from Mauritius, we have our offshore partners, the Okorian Group, Mr. Kenny Kirpen and Mr. John Felicity joining us from Mauritius, and they'll be part of the panel discussion. You're also welcome. I have been given the task to anchor this very prestigious event. I honestly sometimes still wonder why people invite me to anchor events, because I feel the organizers just want to sit in the back and watch me butcher people's names. So in advance, I apologize if I butcher your name. Where is Mr. Laolu? Mr. Laolu, where are you? I want to let you know that you'll be so proud of me. 2 days ago before this event, I actually was practicing how to pronounce his name. And my husband saw me getting anxious, so he said, say it in front of me. I said, Mr. Lolu Alabi. And he said, is he Hausa? I said, no. He said, why are you calling him Lolu? I said, it's Laolu, Laolu. So I'm a Nupe girl. I deserve kuli kuli for that and a round of applause. I've done well. I welcome everyone, all our guests that have come from near and far, who have joined us today. Everybody is a VVIP. You're welcome. Fasten your seatbelts. Unfortunately for you, Mariam Lemu will be taking the wheel of this vehicle today. For those who don't know, for the past 17 years, CardinalStone has been into and the one-stop shop for asset management, trustee business, pension, registrar business, private equity, Cardinal Securities, investment banking, CardinalStone real assets, and financing. One-stop shop. Does it get better than that? And we are here to celebrate them and share the importance of leaving a legacy that will outlive us. I would like to invite on stage to give the opening remarks the Executive Director and Regional Head of CardinalStone Asset Management, none other than Mrs. Mariam Bolakale. She leads operations and drives strategic growth in the northern region. Mrs. Mariam, please come on up. Give her a round of applause.
Thank you, Ajay. Good morning, His Highness Khalifa Mohammed Sanusi II, PhD, our board of directors, founding partners, valued clients, esteemed guests, ladies and gentlemen. I especially welcome you all to the inaugural CardinalStone Private World Forum, a gathering focused on one of the most important conversations of our time, the strategic preservation and transfer of wealth across generations. At CardinalStone, we have always believed in the need of creating an enduring legacy. as it is the foundation to the lasting prosperity of anything. History has shown us that without deliberate planning, even the most remarkable wealth can diminish within a generation. Today, we have come together to explore how we can safeguard wealth, not just for ourselves, but for the generations to come. This year's theme, Preserving Your Wealth and Legacy, is a call to action for everyone, for business leaders, for investors, for financial experts, for all of us to rethink how we can effectively manage and transfer wealth seamlessly. With global markets shifting and new challenges emerging every day, you agree with me? The need for structured inheritance and estate planning has never been more present. We are privileged to have some of the finest minds in the room. In finance, real estate management, finance wealth management here today, and our special guest of honor, His Highness Khalifa Mohammed Sanusi II, brings a wealth of knowledge in which we hope to benefit from him today. And our distinguished panelists that offer valuable insight into navigating the complexities of wealth preservation. And beyond the conversations, this summit is also a platform for networking, exchanging ideas, and building meaningful partnerships. I encourage everyone to take advantage of the opportunity to engage, ask questions. I mean, that's why we're here, CardinalStone. We're ready to listen to everyone and share perspectives that will shape the future of wealth management in Africa and beyond. On behalf of the entire CardinalStone family, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone, to our esteemed guest speakers, our clients, for making time to be part of this event today. To our clients and partners, we appreciate your continued trust in us. Thank you for the past 17 years. And the confidence in us as your trusted financial solution provider. As we begin today's discussions, let us remember that the choices we make today will shape the financial legacies of our tomorrow. Together, let us build wealth that can stand the test of time. Thank you, and I wish you all a productive session.
Now, to be very honest, I will share a little secret. I'm actually petrified with the next segment on the program. I'll just tell you a quick story. Many, many years ago, this very, very wonderful, dazzling, dashing young gentleman was working with First Bank. That was when I met him for the first time. But how he stood out was he had this flashy purple bow tie with multiple polka dots on it. And I was like, wow. Fast forward years later, I got a call from his wife, his beautiful wife, who asked me to come and have iftar with them. And I went to the palace in Kano. And while we were eating, she said, would you like to greet Sarki? And I was like, yes, please. I would love to. And I said, the only problem with me is I'm not good with protocols and formalities. She said, oh no, it's straightforward. Just say, Ran Sarkiya Dadi, Alajaza Mani, things like that. I said, oh, okay, I think I can do that. So I started practicing till we entered this opulent, gorgeous hall with this northern architectural design, multiple colors. And that's where my problems began. Next thing, sitting there on his throne, literally you would hear the angels go, oh! There was this gorgeous al-kebba, bling, bling. Then we crouched on the floor, and biggest problem for me, I'm obsessed with shoes. And then I looked down, and right there, dazzling my eyes, blinding with bling, bling, were these Giuseppe Zanotti shoes that made me go brain dead. Alajaza Mani Rang Sarkiya that it disappeared. Next thing you know, I said, Assalamu alaikum al-Haji. That was the beginning of my nightmare because I made a big fat fool of myself that day. Since then, I've made many blunders when trying to introduce this gentleman, and he has given me a nickname. In addition to calling me a lost cause, he calls me foot in mouth because I always put my foot in my mouth. Even this morning as he was driving from the airport, he said, foot in mouth. I said, yes, sir, at your service. So I don't want to have the Dogare sitting back there, who many opportunities have come where they could whip me, do injustice to introducing him. Neither would I like to be the former anchor of this event, wink, wink. So I would like Mrs. Adenike Tokumbo Ajayi to please come and do this justice, if you don't mind coming forward and welcoming our special guest of honor. Mrs. Ajayi, please come on up. Where is she? Ah, there she is. Mrs. Ajayi, please come and do justice and save me from myself. Thank you, ma'am.
I must say it's a rare honor and privilege to stand before you today to introduce and invite our Royal Father of the Day to this August event, especially because he's someone I've held and known in high esteem for a very long time, several decades, and I've admired him for his forthrightness. And I would like to say that His Royal Highness Mohammed Sanusi II, who is here to grace our occasion today. We feel it's a rare privilege for us all. And the second, he's the Emir of Kano, and I hope I don't make the similar blunders Hajia has made. He was born into a royal lineage of royalty and Islamic scholarship. He's a grandson of Emir Muhammadu Sanusi I and the son of Ambassador Aminu Sanusi. He's a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and Sanusi was globally recognized for rescuing Nigeria's banking sector during the 2008 banking financial crisis. He was named the Global Central Bank Governor of the Year in 2011, and he has pioneered Islamic banking in Nigeria. He holds a degree in economics from the Ahmadu Bello University and a PhD in Islamic law from SOAS University of London. Thank you, more of that. And beyond public service, he has chaired institutions like First Bank, the Black Rhino, which is a Blackstone company, and the Bamban Gona, promoting energy and agricultural development. He currently sits on the global board of directors of MTN and is a Grand Khalifa of the Tijaniyam Order in Nigeria. Emir Sanusi remains an active advocate for education, social reform, and inclusive development across Africa. And I'm quite positive that, like Ija had said, we'll gain a lot from his insights, and we're actually privileged to have it in our midst, despite the personal inconvenience. Personally aware he traveled in last night, and we really appreciate you, sir. Thank you very much, and you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please sit down. So, thank you, Foot in Mouth. And thank you, Nike. Nike is somebody I've known. God, it makes me feel so old, I think. Since my days in Icon Limited Merchant Bankers, when I was in investment banking myself, and she was in UBA trustees. And it's an interesting story. For those who know me, my primary school, I was in St. Anne's, which is a Catholic school. And when I was in King's College, I took Bible knowledge as one of my subjects. I actually had an A in Bible knowledge. And Nika is a devoted Christian, and she was trying to convert me until she realized I probably knew the Bible better than she did. But we've been friends since then, and I'm glad to see you happy that you're still active, and well done. Okay, so this is an interesting topic for me. It's something I would really say I came in to listen to and to learn. But I'd like to share just a few words, and a major problem for us in northern Nigeria, problem with Muslims in particular, is a lack of attention to estate planning. You know, there's an interesting hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I think it was the hadith of, and I hesitate to talk about hadith in the presence of Imam Bashir, who's a hadith scholar. There was a hadith of Amr ibn al-As, where on his deathbed he said to the Prophet, I would like to leave all my wealth to charity. And he said, no, you can't leave everything to charity. You can't leave your family uncatered for. It's better that you give some charity, but leave something for your family so they do not go around begging people. He said, okay, can I give 2/3? And the Prophet said, no, 2/3 is too much. And he said, about half. He said, half is too much. He said, okay, then, Prophet, I'd like to give 1/3. And then you have this famous statement of the Prophet where he said, فَالثُّلُثُ وَالثُّلُثُ كَثِيرٌ. He said, it's okay, you can give 1/3, and 1/3 is a lot. Now, in this hadith, I think we learn that we do have a responsibility to think about those we are going to leave behind. And they do have rights in the wealth. Now, for many of us Muslims, the fact that the Quran and the hadith are very clear on the distribution of estates has made us not to pay attention to this. We know that when you die, you've got the Asabul Fara'id, your wife has a share, your children have shares, and they'll get something. Now look at the way we hold wealth today. Now look at what has happened to people who have died. Some people have factories. And then how do you share that factory? You've not made any plans for it. Houses are sold, business empires are simply liquidated and shared. When in fact there are resources, and I'm glad you have Bashir on the panel, there are resources in Islamic law that cater for how you can protect this wealth and ensure that it continues to benefit. The second thing is, we've seen people die and leave young children who have not completed their education, for example, and that's it. They invested in educating the older children, and then when they're dead, no one takes care of the education of the younger children. You know, in our society, if you die, finding someone that will take your child in, give him a roof over his head, give him food, that's not a problem. But how many people are going to invest in the kind of education that you would have wanted to give your children? How do we ensure that, and we know death is going to come. The reality is, this whole thing about planning is about being realistic. It's like when we talk about takaful, it's just about being realistic. Death happens. Everyone dies. Everyone is going to die. So you're not tempting fate. You're facing the reality that you will die. And that when you die, you may leave children behind who have not completed their education. Are they going to fund their education from their share of the inheritance? When in your lifetime you had invested so much in educating their elder brothers or sisters? Why going to set aside something in your lifetime that will make sure that just as their brothers and their sisters, you have also invested in their education, whether or not you are alive, so that only after that do you share and distribute the estate? These are the kinds of questions I think that will come up, and the kinds of issues that we confront on a daily basis. If you've got a factory, how do you deal with it? How do you split it? It's not listed. How do you take care of that? How do that investment make sure that it continues to generate returns, and your family continues? You can share the returns based on Sharia principles, but at least you make sure that the asset itself is not liquidated. Because every day we see this, I see it a lot. People are wealthy, they go in a year or two, everything has been liquidated, the children get the money, in 2-3 years, they're flat broke. They've not educated themselves, they've not educated the younger ones. In fact, for the younger ones, sometimes their share disappears in the hands of so-called guardians. So they never really benefit from that wealth because we made no arrangements to make sure they benefit. So I think this whole idea of thinking what happens the day after, and we're all witnesses of to people who die, and before they're buried, wives are fighting over shares. People are talking about, I want that house, I want this asset. Before 2-3 days of mourning, within those 3 days, family feuds have broken out. Either half brothers or half sisters, or full brothers, full sisters, between the wives or wife and children, and so on. So for me, I think this is an opportunity for us all to think and to plan and to learn. And I do hope that in the course of today, we'll talk about Alisul Bashir, you'll talk about Hiba, you'll talk about Waqf, you'll talk about Wasiya, and we can all begin to learn that there is nothing that is happening today in terms of modern wealth transfer and wealth management and legacy that we cannot find resources within Islamic law for, but these resources are not well known and they are not well used. And maybe people think it is tempting fate, maybe people think it is not necessary, but we've seen the consequences of a lack of planning, especially for the weak and the vulnerable. And this is when, even in the Quran, when Allah speaks about dying, he talks about leaving dhurriyatan dhi'afan. Just about leaving a progeny that is weak. You know, when you've got very young children, a 5-year-old girl or a 12-year-old girl or a 12-year-old boy, and you know, you invested so much educating their brothers, they're in their 30s and 40s and working, and they think, she's not my responsibility. She has her share of the inheritance. Your wives, they have a share of the inheritance, but does that sustain them? Are you able to provide something that will give them financial security in a meaningful sense? And you can do all of this while you are alive. You can plan all of this while you are alive, while you still have control of your senses, while you can do your planning, you can do all of this, and then the residual is shared. And then, of course, all the good deeds you would like to do. From a religious perspective, we've seen people who have died, and people tell their children, you know, you've inherited all this wealth, please go and build a mosque or a school in his honor, and they don't. They don't. Now, children say, well, if you wanted to build a mosque, you would have built it in his lifetime. So if you want to build a mosque, please don't wait for your children to build it after you're dead. If you want to build a hospital or a school, don't wait for somebody to do it after you're dead. Do it now. It's all part of management, part of planning, and part of planning for what happens after you're dead. This is Sadaqah Jariyah. You want to do it? Do it. Do your borehole while you're alive. Do your mosque while you're alive. Do your own Sadaqah Jariyah while you are alive. Don't wait for your children after you're dead to go and say, we're building this mosque and we're praying that the reward goes to our father. Build it. Oh, and I can see Mahani there. She's the expert on in this area. I don't know why I'm actually here giving a keynote. I think the group just wants to see my face here, but you've got all these specialists that we're going to learn from. And by the way, foot in mouth, final comment. The person you call the former Minister of Finance is Serkim Bankano. He's a title holder. Serkim Bankano. So when you recognize the you see, when you recognize the emir, you've recognized him. So don't embarrass him by calling him out. You always put your foot in your mouth. So thank you very much. I look forward to a very interesting and enlightening session, and I hope we'll all be more learned and better off at the end of it, and be better prepared for how to manage our wealth and how to manage what will happen after we're gone. And we will all go. As the Stoics say, you try to live well, but it's important to also die well. And that's very important. And dying well, it includes not just facing death with courage, facing death with calmness, but also being comfortable that after you've gone, you've done your best for those that you're going to leave behind. Thank you very much.
I hope you will instruct him to leave this umbrella behind me so I feel like a somebody. He's leaving. Kai babana baraka ban lema number. Alhamdulillah. Oh, what a beautiful, and this is coming from the gentleman who said he's not coming to speak for more than a minute or two, and he doesn't have much to say about this, and I think he has literally encapsulated the essence of this gathering. And I think the most important thing I have taken is about making sure we are intentional in preparing our post-mortem so that it doesn't happen by accident and it doesn't end up being messy. Now, I held on from introducing the next segment, which is the panelists. This section is going to be about what we are here to learn today, passing on the baton, securing generational wealth through strategic inheritance planning. We are here to talk about wealth transfer, legacy, and how to ensure that what we have worked so hard to build, as Sariki has said, doesn't spark family feuds or court battles when we are no longer here to defend it. I'll be joined by, like I said, the creme de la creme, the best of the best for the best, experts in law, finance, Islamic estate planning, real estate, and taxation. We're about to take a deep dive into how to build, protect, and pass on wealth without controversy or disaster. I would like to invite our first panelist, none other than Mrs. Hibatullah Thani. Hiba is the founder and principal partner of Thani Legal and Consults, and a leading Nigerian law firm established in 2012. Please give her a warm welcome as she takes her seat on this panel. You're very welcome, ma'am. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Next, our trustees expert is Ms. Femi Akeredolu. I hope I did that right. She's the managing director of CardinalStone Trustees. She is a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in trust service, asset management and wealth advisory, fund and portfolio management, retirement benefits, administration, personal finance advisory, private banking, insurance, and underwriting. In short, she is CardinalStone itself. Mrs. Femi, please come on up. Miss Femi, please come on up. Thank you. Yeah. Now, our scholar, Dr. Bashir Aliu. He is the deputy chairman of FRACE, Central Bank Nigeria. Dr. Bashir has played a significant role in Islamic finance in Nigeria. Currently, he is a member of the Sharia Committee of the International Islamic Liquidity Management Corporation, He's the Deputy Chairman of CBN's Council of Experts on Islamic Banking, and he is currently the Special Advisor to the CBN Governor on non-interest banking. You're no longer the current, it was the past. Well, that's what they gave me, I am so sorry. One thing I know for sure, my brother, who is also, alhamdulillah, an up-and-coming scholar, said, when it comes to knowledge of Islamic finance, none other tops number one than Dr. Bashir, and when it comes to scholarliness on hadith in Nigeria, none other. And IDB, Islamic Development Bank, have him as their board of consultants. So I would like you to please give a warm welcome to Dr. Bashir Aliyu. Our real estate expert is my own brother, Mr. Laolu Alabi. See how I even emphasize the Alabi? I said it right. The Executive Director of CardinalStone Real Assets. He brings to the role close to 2 decades of experience from a background of real estate and investing. Please welcome my brother, Mr. Laolu. You're welcome, sir. And joining us virtually, unfortunately, she wasn't able to get the flight to come, but she's going to come. Aha, here we go. We have our tax expert, Ms. Olayinka Oluwata Babaniji. I'm so proud of myself. She is currently an associate director with PwC. She has over 16 years combined working experience in the provision of tax advisory, tax compliance, and tax planning services to corporate, non-corporate, and individuals as well. I welcome all the panelists to this session. I hope your microphones are on. Your mics are all on? Perfect. Well, each panelist, this is the tough one, has just 3 minutes to share their thoughts. So you have rapid fire questions, and then you have the Herculean task of squeezing an elephant into a bottle by answering a big question in just 3 minutes. So we'll start with round one. Oh, I wish I had a little bell. Round one, ding, here we go. Foundation of Wealth Transfer and Inheritance Law. So, Mrs. Hiba, let's start with the legal nuts and bolts. When it comes to inheritance, emotions run high, and the courtroom is not far away. What are some of the biggest legal landmines families should watch out for, and how can they plan ahead to avoid messy disputes? Ms. Hiba.
Thank you very much, Hajia Mariam. I wanted to answer this question by starting with a definition, ensuring that everyone here understands what inheritance planning is really all about. But I thank His Excellency, the Emir, for giving a very good introduction. So without much ado, I think all of us can appreciate the importance of estate planning and the process that goes into it, the deep thought process to ensure that there's a financial plan for beneficiaries once the testator is no longer with them, and also to make sure that his wishes are protected through this inheritance planning. Now, looking at it from a legal perspective, what are some of the challenges that inheritance planning can face? So, looking at lengthy and expensive process, probate process. Now, most of you that may be familiar with the process, you are aware that there is almost a 10% fee that the courts will charge, probate will charge on the overall value of every asset or every property. So where inheritance is not properly planned, then the lengthy probate process can take even up to 2 years. And in the interim, assets could be unavailable to beneficiaries, and this could be a bottleneck and a difficulty. Another legal risk is some of the beneficiaries that may have been taken care of by a testator during his lifetime, they will fall victim to some statutory laws or application of customary laws and the rest, and they will be disinherited, or might not be able to be covered by the provisions of the law. Other issues, taxation. sometimes if proper planning is not carried out on properties and assets, then you can have a situation of, double, multiple taxation and all the rest. But I'm sure our panelist, that is the taxation expert, she will be able to give a better explanation. A minute to go, okay. Another pitfall of not carrying out proper inheritance planning is bankruptcy and insolvency, you understand, during the testator's life. So a situation whereby, proper advice is not gotten, or the kind of inheritance that is left behind for the beneficiaries is not properly taken into account, then this can also lead to insolvency and bankruptcy during the time of the testator or even after his demise. So,
fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Next, we will go to our trustee expert, Ms. Femi. Now let's look at structure. From wills to trusts to family constitutions, what are the smartest ways to structure wealth so it flows smoothly across generations without confusion or conflict?
Thank you. So when you speak about generational wealth transfer and inheritance planning, in the conventional space, you would think about things like wills. But you mean under the Islamic religion or the tenets of the faith, you also have something that represents a will, which is the al-wasiyah, right? And in that, the Quran has prescribed how, or the religion has prescribed how you can plan yourself and distribute assets. So either you're a Christian or you're a Muslim or you're a pagan, there are instruments for you to use one way or the other. You just need to speak to the right person or expert. Now, you can also take the tone of gifting. Gifting is allowed under the law, and even as trustees, we can help you structure a better way you can do that. And if you look at it from the unconventional side, which is under the Islamic faith, you have Iba. The Quran also prescribes how a 1/3 you can, with your own free will, share as you want. Then you have the trust. I love to talk about trust, especially because it's a dynamic instrument, and it doesn't really matter what faith you belong to. It is useful, right? It is useful for inheritance planning. It is useful for succession planning. It is useful for even transactions. So I've seen situations where people want to do transactions, but maybe because of conflict of interest of their office or their person, or for whatever reason, they are stuck. A trust is a vehicle for you to drive that. And on the back of that, you can then leverage that asset for even other financial purposes and still think about distribution of assets. Now, under a trust, which on the Islamic side is the waqf, you can create what is called a living trust. Just see a living trust as the flip side of a will, because a will is testamentary in nature. However, a living trust is current, it subsists like you, right? If I love to call it a clone of you. What you have done under a trust is, I own 100 assets today, but I want to transfer those assets to another entity that has a local stand, pardon my legal maxim, that has a legal standing in the eyes of the law. Meaning, Erefemi and Erefemi Akeredolu's trust are two different entities in the eyes of the law. Now, what you've done is you've shielded your asset, you are protecting your beneficiaries, and much more. And the truth is, with all of these instruments, you have better guidance on how to do things. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Now let's go to our scholar, Dr. Bashir. Islamic inheritance law, it differs from conventional estate planning. It offers clarity, but in today's world of complex assets and blended families, applying fara'id can get quite tricky. How does it differ from conventional estate planning? This is a loaded one. And what are the real challenges that families are running to today, and how can they navigate around it? So it's almost 3 questions in one. This is the elephant to go in a bottle right now, 3 minutes.
Okay, Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. As you rightly pointed out in the question that fara'id, which is the rule of rules of inheritance.
Yes,
The rules of inheritance under Islamic law is something that has been set by Allah Ta'ala himself. It was not an effort of the jurists. It is clear in the Quran, how you apportion, how the estate is divided. But inheritance is only one of the tools that are used for estate planning. The conventional estate planning tools, they differ definitely from the ones under Islamic law. We developed a code, a draft code for Muslim law of personal status under the instruction and guidance of His Highness the Emir of Kano, Muhammad Sanusi. And the last part of that, it is a detailed explanation of the rules regarding estate planning, gifts, wasiya, which is wills, waqf, and inheritance, in that order. Now, the greatest challenge regarding inheritance comes from the resistance by some of the powerful heirs to have the estate to be divided. And it is quite clear under Islamic law that even if one heir demands that the estate be divided, it has to be divided. And the second challenge is the challenge of guardianship, which His Highness has made reference to. And that was why the greatest warning came regarding guardianship of the wealth of orphans. Allah says, those who squander the wealth of the orphans, they are only consuming hellfire into their stomach, and they will burn in the hellfire. And also Allah says, those who leave behind them offspring that are weak, let them fear what will happen to them after they leave them. And squandering the wealth of orphans is regarded as one of the 7 major sins which the Prophet ﷺ has equated with magic and sorcery and polytheism. So these are the greatest challenges. Well, definitely there are what you have in the courts about the implementation, the corruption sets in, but then quite a number of distribution of the estate happens at the level of scholarship, sometimes at the courts of the emirs. There is the challenge of sustainability regarding certain certain assets that are jointly owned. And definitely that is the best way to protect certain assets. And that is why the rule of first refusal has come, shufa, so that you will be able to have the heirs to be in control of the assets themselves without bringing a third party.
Fantastic, alhamdulillah. Next, I would like to go to Mr. Laolu Alabi. He is the real estate expert. Now, real estate is often viewed as the crown jewel in any family's asset portfolio. But what is the most strategic way to build serious wealth through property beyond just buying and holding?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here. And I'd also like to say to His Highness Florette. So let's start with real estate. Fundamentally, by the way, as you mentioned, it's quite critical within the portfolio, but the fact that you're here means that you have wealth, and one of the things we always advocate is diversification as a means of risk management. So it's useful that individuals understand the importance of having investments in real estate and also other asset classes. And of course, CardinalStone remains a one-stop shop that is able to address that. But specific to your question, what we found with our existing trust clients is that there often is this correlation between the real estate investment approach and personalities. So you find that individuals typically tend to buy, real estate across jurisdictions, typically of a focused nature. And what we try to advocate is that real estate is fairly flexible and multidimensional. So I'll get a bit technical, which is when you talk about investments, you can look at fixed income, equities, and real estate. The unique nature of real estate is that it does 2 things for you, which I guess a lot of people know, but it's worth repeating, which is it's a very good store of value which is in terms of how the value of real estate grows. And unlike equities, it doesn't have as much volatility. So you're not worried about the share price of your house or your real estate investment. And also it is a source of income. It's interesting that we've been talking about this thus far from a perspective of death estate, or at least a transferability of the estate, but we also advocate that actually you can make real estate investment that gives you cash back, and that then involves whether you're looking at real estate in terms of your own existing portfolio of assets that you're trying to now rationalize. You find that a lot of high net worth individuals have made either speculative investments, they have a huge land bank, and again, coming back to the point of trust, you then find that what we try to do is find solutions to that in terms of being able to optimize. But in terms of answering, coming back to your question, we advocate even diversification within the subsector of real estate, which is it's useful to have your real estate investments that support your lifestyle, but it's also useful to look at it as a core, a third vertical, as an asset class, which you, depending on what your objectives are, short, near term, and long term, you can also then look at making those investments that will either give yield or long-term capital appreciation.
Fantastic, thank you. Now we are going to go virtually to Mrs. Olayinka, and yes, she's our tax expert. And of course, tax is everyone's favorite word, right? What are the most common tax traps in inheritance planning, and how can families avoid a large chunk of their legacy going to the taxman?
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I would say in terms of being looking for major issues that can come up when it comes to taxes in inheritance planning, right? I think a lot of that is said. One of it is that you don't have everything at all in place, and that's a number one pitfall, right? You also need to understand the tax implications of you now even have a plan in place. What's at the tax implications in that regard? You need to actually consider it. A lot of times you see high net worth individuals or those who considering taxes after the fact. That is after you have maybe put up a plan or put up a structure in place. Then now look at what taxes are that you will be exposed to. So that's the wrong approach. You have to actually start ahead, right? You also have to consider things like maybe the nationality of the beneficiaries, because it also plays a major role in terms of the exposure of the assets to or the inheritance of such beneficiaries to taxes in a country of nationality, right? Beneficiaries that have more than one citizenship. Okay? Then another thing also that I would also mention is that foreign taxes are also important, right? So even for expertise, even for going to talking about inheritance planning, what are the tax exposures that you need to be aware of? What are the tax compliance obligations that you need to start to comply with, right? Why a lot of people complain about tax is because there's always that element of surprise. They tend not to do anything until when the tax authorities come knocking, right? So we have to actually stop that approach and try to be making plans ahead. In terms of inheritance tax, of course, I know inheritance taxes in Nigeria, there's no law like that. However, tax conduct is looking at transactions or activities that surround inheritance and happen as a result of inheritance planning. So we that you said already, right? So like the cost of administering the estate of the deceased, right? Probably fees will come up that needs to be paid. Cost of maybe even after the estate administered, and maybe you want to transfer ownership. That is also come up when titles of this land and properties are being transferred. You have taxes such as stamp duties, you have CGT, consent fees, registration fees, and it should be said that this particular taxes differs based on the location where the asset that has been inherited is based, right? And mostly they're also based on the value of property, right, that is being inherited. So when you look at the value of that and you consider this rate, when you look at the value of the entire portfolio and put this rate on them, how significant, right, that the taxes that are now exposed to will be. Also, if maybe the cares.
So sorry to cut you short, Mrs. Olaika. So sorry to cut you short. I am going to be ruthless with time, but I'm coming back to you again with a question in a moment. So please hold on and put a semicolon on that point you are about to land on. I want to run to our offshore business partners who are going to be joining us virtually from Okorian. And we have Mr. John Felicity and Mr. Kenny Kurpen joining us. Could we please have them on the screen? And they are coming to us from Mauritius, so we know they are quite a few hours ahead of us. Ah, there we go. Yes. Do we have both of them? You have one. Oh. Okay. We have Mr. Kenny. So you are very welcome. All right. Can you hear us clearly?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. All right, so the question is, managing assets across borders comes with its own sets of risks and red tape. How exactly do offshore trusts help protect individuals or entities with international wealth? And what should families know to keep those structures safe, legal, and working in their favor?
Thank you. And thank you for having me, and good morning, everyone. I think the first challenge is that, over the years, families might have diversified their assets outside of Nigeria, for instance, and they might have accumulated wealth over the years in different countries. And one way to consolidate all the assets together is to do a proper wealth structure. A proper wealth structuring can come in terms of solutions. I've heard about the trust structure, which is probably the most common way of putting it together and consolidating all the assets together. But secondly, as well, we mentioned about a foundation, which is becoming more and more familiar. Now, there's one thing which is very important when we talk about wealth structuring, and doing wealth structuring with a partner or a trustee outside of your home country, is about building up trust. Because you need to build up a trust with your trustee, who will indirectly be looking after the family assets, making sure that these assets are properly invested, maintained for the next generation to come. And that's where we have a very good partnership with CardinalStone, because CardinalStone is on the ground. They are based in Nigeria. They will do well with all the family members, and that's how we partner with them, because you need to have that element of comfort. When it comes to the benefits, there are different types of benefits to have your asset structured through an offshore structure, such as an offshore trust. The first one is that element of confidentiality. It is important that within your segment, within your family zone, that these assets, even if you're not around anymore, have to be well protected. You want to make sure as well that from a political point of view, it is well protected. That protection is always on the table to ensure that the wealth that you have accumulated over so many years is not jeopardized due to political.
Recording stopped.
Please go ahead, sir. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. There's another element which is very important, and that's where Ulalinga will step in, because whenever you structure your offshore assets, there is an important tax consideration to take into account. What is the tax consequence of transferring these assets from your personal name to an offshore structure? And how do you make sure that on an ongoing basis, the tax consequence does not jeopardize your assets in terms of tax liability? But I will leave it to Ulalinga to provide you more details afterwards. As well, it is important that the structuring of your wealth is done in a way, be you need to abide by your Sharia law principle, be that you need to abide by your family values, is They are the one who will be facing your family. They are the one that will be working with your family, and we will be partnering with them to ensure that that structuring is done in an efficient way, but in a tax efficient manner as well, with the help of the land.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kenny. We really appreciate your contribution and your wealth of knowledge. We know you have to go. You've been online waiting for this for quite a while, but you have another engagement. So thank you very much for sharing that.
My colleague John, who's on the call, I don't know whether John wants to add anything to what I've just mentioned.
Is John on? Okay, they said he can come on. So please, can we have John, all right, Mr. John Felicity, you're welcome. You'll have 1 minute left, so you get the crumbs of the time that has been consumed. But please, if you could share a few thoughts in a minute.
Wonderful. I think one of the things which people forget is that by properly structuring estates and assets, you help to preserve that harmony within the family. You know, you have patriarchs and matriarchs that build wealth within the family. What they want to ensure is that not only their assets pass down to the next generation efficiently, but also in a harmonious way. And by putting the structure in place in your lifetime, you effectively ensure that everybody is aware, you avoid this bitterness and this infighting, which sometimes sadly takes place after the demise of the patriarch or matriarch. By putting a structure, you help to ensure that everyone is aligned. Everyone can go forward to say, okay, what more can we do to grow and build the wealth that the family has left? That's what I'd like to thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. John, for contributing. And we thank both of you for joining us today and hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Coming back for round 2 of our panel discussion, Preserving Legacy Through Governance and Strategy. To Mrs. Hibatullah, let's talk about consequences of poor planning. What really happens when someone dies without a will in Nigeria, and how can families save themselves from years of legal limbo and frozen assets?
To answer this question, I'm going to rely on a case study, a case that I handled personally, and it involved so many aspects, and I think it would be the perfect example. So I think about almost 3 years now, a group of sisters, 5 sisters, came to me. And their dad was ill for a very long time, almost 8 months. And within this period, it was very clear that he was going to pass. And whenever the issue of inheritance or inheritance planning would come up, the father kept saying, my brother, my brother, my brother. His brother is supposedly some sort of chief or an emir, and he believed that he will apply Islamic law, you know, that everything is going to be fine. He didn't make provisions. He didn't make even to give a breakdown of the properties that he owned. Talk less more of debts. When he was asked about debts, he said, I don't owe anybody. I'm going to meet my Lord with a clean heart. And subhanAllah, after almost 8 months, the father passed away, and his wife died less than 4 months after him, and left these 5 ladies with a very big inheritance and wealth, and they were absolutely clueless. So truly, the uncle did try his best. He set up a committee. On the committee were some of the extended family, the relatives of the father, his stepbrothers. One of them happened to be a lawyer. And throughout the lifetime of the father, when he would buy properties, it was this brother that would help in the documentation. So to cut a long story short, when it was time for the distribution of the wealth, there was a lot of anomalies, Debts kept coming up, debts that they had not heard of during the lifetime of the father, running into hundreds of millions with not a single document to prove that there was such a transaction or there was such a debt. But unfortunately, because the committee that was set up, they approved it, And that's how this money were taken out of the inheritance. Also, you have instances of property or assets or funds where they were calculated downward. What do I mean? So, for example, a property that was bought in 2015, maybe was bought at 100 million. But when they did their evaluation, they put it at 35 million. You understand? And subhanAllah, these ladies, you can say they are from the top crop. They're educated, they've been abroad, they know their rights to a certain extent. But because of lack of proper inheritance planning from the father's end, we can say that they were cut short of it. Unfortunately, my time is limited. I cannot really buttress much, but inshallah, maybe in the next round, I'll cover some more ground. Thank you.
I think at least you've given us a wake-up call, just not to leave things to chance. And I think intentionality is the theme and the trend that keeps going on here. Now, Ms. Femi, just like oil and water, as we all know, family and money are two things that don't always mix well. How do professional trustees help keep peace and ensure that wealth is handed over with dignity, structure, and order?
Thank you. So I think I'll just take my cue from Ms. Tani's answer. What you find mostly is that these conflicts are not visible during the lifetime of the patriarch or the matriarch or whoever we're talking about in this case. They usually come up at death. And like they always say, dead man cannot speak, right? Which is why you need to work with a professional, be it an asset manager, be it a lawyer or a trustee. And at CardinalStone, we're a mix of everything, right? What would we do for you? We'll give you proper guidance around how to structure stuff. I think it was 2 days ago, I was speaking with Ms. Tania and we were discussing all this inheritance planning in the Islamic way. And she said, oh, do you guys have advisors, Sharia advisors that work with you? And I said, absolutely. I'm a Christian. If I want to do this for clients, I need to work with people that are experts in that space to give the proper guidance. So guidance is one thing. Now, the other part of it is the implementation. So, earlier I spoke about trust. Like I mentioned, you can have, living trust, blind trust, custody trust, and even a charitable trust, which was what our offshore partners were speaking about, foundations and endowments. And within this structure, it can help you even protect more than your immediate family, where you've seeded out some level of assets to keep replicating itself and, give back to the society. I will tell a little story. So she said 5 sisters. I met just a client in 2016, and I tried everything to get him to sign up for a trust, even though he had assets with our asset management subsidiary. And then 2018, I got a call from his friend that introduced me to him, saying, please come to my office 7:30. I'm like, no, I resume 8. I shall get to you at 8 o'clock. And he was like, please. I went there, and this man paced around the room for like 3 minutes before he said, XYZ had passed. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard. I'm so sorry, blah, blah, blah. He said, that's not the deal. The deal is his wife knocked at my door at 2 a.m. this morning with our 2 boys. What has happened within the 2 years that the man passed? They've been chased out. Culture, when you leave things to chance, 2 things can happen. Laws of the land will take place or will take effect, or if you've decided to go the customary way, that can also play out. So customary laws played out in this case. Head of the family, blah, blah, blah thing, they sent her out. And my client looked me in the face and said, my wife's mother was the one that catered for my wife and I, sent me to school. In fact, my first job was through my wife's mom. When we got our first small apartment, we were using a wrapper as the curtain. So I just wondered to myself, if I drop there today, my brothers will show up and say, what didn't exist? So my point is, as trustees, we would help you. We will guide you through the process. We would help you implement and ensure that all the pitfalls we're talking about here will not happen. Thank you.
I think things just have to be in black and white. There's no room for gray when it comes to issues to do with our legacy and leaving things behind. Dr. Bashir, for families looking to align legacy planning with faith, and I think Sarki mentioned this lightly, is what Sharia-compliant tools like waqf, sukuk, and takaful can they use to protect wealth and value across generations?
Yes, one of the features of Islamic estate planning and the tools that are being used is the objective. It sets it apart. You not only leave wealth to the upcoming generation, but you also prepare for the hereafter, because that is the essence is that the wealth that you have gathered, you want it to be used as a vehicle that will make you attain the pleasure of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said, when a person dies, all his good deeds are stopped except from three aspects: from a knowledge that is being spread, and from a righteous son that is praying for him, and from a sustainable charity. So waqf is one of the ways that you can have both, because waqf is generally of two types. That is al-waqful khairi and waqful dhurri. That is, there is the benevolent waqf which you do for seeking the reward of Allah, and then there is the one that you do for the family waqf. That is to protect the interests of the children, their education, their well-being. Like one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, Zubair, he established a waqf. He said that any woman from among his offspring that is divorced or that is widowed, she has a right to the property that he endowed in Medina, because he saw the problem of widows having no one to take care of them, no accommodation. And he made that. This was as early as during the immediately after the time of the Prophet ﷺ. But for the waqf to be really sustainable, you need to have an economic expert who knows what is sustainability, and you need to have a Sharia expert who knows what is going to make it inalienable, and then what will not convert it into a wasiyah, because a waqf can easily be turned into a wasiyah and it is clawed away from what you have mentioned. But the beautiful thing about waqf is that whatever you mention as your stipulations, they are treated in terms of authority and enforceability as a textual text of the as a text of the Quran. You have to stick to you have to stick by it, and that's where the role of the an-nadir, that is the trustee, comes into being, which can be an institutional trustee, or you yourself, you become the trustee. Then there are other tools also, that, as you rightly mentioned, as sukuk. Sukuk, they are long-term, especially the ijara sukuk that are based on real estate. And then there is the family takaful. Family takaful, they have got so many, and now, alhamdulillah, we have the takaful entities that are springing up. They have so many types of takaful investments, which are done for the interests of the upcoming generation.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Mr. Laolu, we've all heard of families being forced to sell valuable property just to cover costs or split inheritance. What are some smart ways high net worth families can avoid these fire sales and keep real estate assets intact?
Thank you. I think the other panelists have done justice to it, and so we're just talking about the application or use case within a real estate context. So first is, the expectation is you're talking about a family that has real estate investments offshore, because those are jurisdictions, especially the UK and the US, that those assets have an exposure to inheritance tax. Therefore, any sort of transfer is going to incur or crystallize a sale event because it's just so high. And typically, I think one of the things I also remind people is those taxes are then applied on the current market value, not how much you bought it. So it's incredibly expensive, and as a consequence, in one word, the answer is structuring. And I'll say structuring in two ways. when you think about the legacy you want to leave, it comes in two forms, which is you want to leave real estate assets that are income producing almost on an automatic basis, to take care of day-to-day needs of your family, but you also will have marquee assets that you don't want to leave the family. And typically putting them in structures, especially when you have a portfolio of real estate across the world, that's when you then start to have different vehicles for different real estate portfolios. For instance, applying a Mauritius trust to hold your international assets, and perhaps a Nigerian trust to hold your Nigerian assets. That strategy, and then also looking at it from a value preservation trust and an income generating trust. Those strategies have the effect of ensuring that assets don't need to be sold forcibly, and can also, and benefit, and I think one of the things that has not been fully mentioned is the idea of these structures is that the main trustee is able to explicitly define the distribution and methodology of how these incomes and assets are allocated. And so that clarity then ensures that and also structuring ensures that these assets are not forced.
Thank you very much. Now we go back to our tax expert, Ms. Olayinka. She's joining us virtually from Lagos. I apologize for cutting you short, and I asked you to put a semicolon on your last sentence, so you can wrap that one up if you want to, but if it has been raised here, then no need. But the question I have in this second group of question is, in today's global world, many families have assets in multiple jurisdictions that spread beyond the shores of Africa. How can they structure their offshore investments legally and wisely to minimize global tax liabilities?
Okay, thank you very much, Ajay. So for offshore investments, it's important to take note that because there are various jurisdictions that are involved, so you have to consider the tax implications of all these jurisdictions, right? And you also have to kind of engage professionals in these places. Especially is that even with these jurisdictions, they have their separate taxes, they have some sort of conditional threshold, Once you are able to identify all those conditions, the thresholds, there's a relation to the taxes, it will help you and advisor to devise a way by which you can manage the particular taxes that is applicable in that particular jurisdiction. So when you talk about inheritance tax, for example, in UK, for example, right, there's something that is called gifts with reservation, right, which you can use to plan around your gifting of houses, for example, to beneficiaries. But of course, there are conditions that needs to be met, because if you give for that type of situation, right, you have to be living in that house, or you have to be paying service charge and all those things, right? So you have to know all these things, and when you know all these things, you know how to plan around it. Comes to offshore investment, of course, offshore investment as well, one major way that, one major structure that is kind of common is using vehicle to hold the interest of the family, right? So if you use a vehicle to hold the interest of the family in a particular jurisdiction, right, can use the same to hold interest of the family in other jurisdictions, and can use that same vehicle, right, for future investment. Now, the vehicle to be used now depends on what would work best for that situation. There's no, you can't have a one cap fits for it. You may have a trust vehicle, you may have a foundation vehicle, you may have a corporate entity, right, that works well for a jurisdiction, but it may not work so well for another jurisdiction. And another thing you also need to be aware of is that you need to continually keep abreast of changes in the tax laws, because this will also affect whatever structure that you have put in place. Now, talking about a particular vehicle working in one place and not working in the other place, right? For example, I know of a family that has already even set up their structure. They've already actually even put up a corporate SPV in place, right? And because it was offshore investment and it was mostly equity investment, so you were just getting dividend income. And for UK, when you get those type of dividend income, it's tax-free, right? So it's worked well for a while. But when the family business now started getting interest such as royalties, and they were not aware. Royalties had huge taxes, currently have huge taxes in the UK, right? So you need to periodically review your portfolio, review your investment, look at what works, what was working before, and what we now need to, how we now need to change it to fit today's circumstance, right? All the structure that has been said earlier on, you know, they actually work very well. When you have private trusts, when you have foundations, I particularly like foundations, like legal personality on its own, right? But you just have to continually review your status, review your portfolio, and look at what works best in each situation. Importantly, engage professionals to help, whether in Nigeria or in other jurisdictions where you have your assets or you have your offshore investment where they are located.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your contribution. Now we go into the third and final round, bridging complexities and ensuring inclusive wealth transfer. So the first question goes back to you, Mrs. Hiba. Inheritance planning sounds simple until overlooked details turn into major disputes. What are some of the most common legal pitfalls families walk into, especially when applying Islamic inheritance laws? And how can they build in safeguards that protect their assets and protect their relationships?
Very important question. To me, the summary of the pitfalls, especially for us Muslims under Islamic law, is that according to the Prophet ﷺ, the first knowledge to be lost is the knowledge of inheritance. This is a wake-up call for all of us as Muslims. And also the Prophet ﷺ told us that inheritance, understanding inheritance, the knowledge of inheritance is half of knowledge. It's a very deep statement, and if we think about it, how it affects lives, socio-economic, families, children, generation, you see that there is a depth of knowledge in it. So it is wajib on us as Muslims to go back and educate ourselves. And for me, wallahi, it's very simple and quite straightforward. Just sitting down maybe with an expert or, you know, a sheikh or a malam, or even taking lessons online, you'll be surprised. Because from the Quran, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned it, it's very straightforward. These are the heirs, this is their entitlement, this is their share, this is what you can do. So Muslims, under Islamic law in particular, we need to understand what is the Islamic law of inheritance, how does it apply, how can we use it to protect our beneficiaries. And also, like the scholar said, there are other instruments, there are other mechanisms that are allowed under the faith, whether it is a waqf, whether it's a hiba, or whether it's a wasiyah. A wasiyah is a powerful tool, and it is recognized legally. It's a powerful tool that you can use to describe 1/3 of your wealth in whatever manner, whatever way, whether it's to protect minor children, whether it's to protect extended family members that are non-Muslims, whether it's to provide for special needs, whatever it is, the wasiyah is there. So one of the major pitfalls, I believe, is that we as Muslims, we don't understand. And also to the non-Muslims, we have a lot of people that believe that once you're a joint signatory with your wife, then everything is safe. I didn't want to mention names, but I think this is a public knowledge. What happened to the late Mr. Herbert, he and his wife and son and cousin, and two of them, the wife and the cousin, they were his trustees and executors. All of them, they passed away in the same accident, in the same incident. So there needs to be proper planning. Even where you have wills, you have trusts, you have your inheritance planning, your experts and all that, we still see from the cases that most time it's contested, it ends up in court for a very long time. It can affect your children, your minors, your beneficiaries. So meeting with an expert, and I thank CardinalStone and institutions like this for bringing this topic to the fore and making it, you know, be at the back of our minds and address it, inshallah, during our lifetime. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Now, Ms. Femi, good governance isn't just for corporations. Families need it too. How do family councils, advisory boards, and structured planning help preserve wealth long after the first generation is gone, and who is doing it well?
Thank you. When you talk about governance structure in wealth management, wealth transfer, balance, most times we look at it from the perspective of creating an institution to drive the objectives of the patriarch, matriarch, or whoever is in question, or a settlor. And you find that a lot of families do this through what we call a family office, where a corporate entity is instituted, a legal entity, and the structure of the asset management, be it cash and cash equivalent assets, your typical investments, Sukuk bonds, FGM bonds, treasury bills, stocks and whatnot, will sit in there, your real estate, and even some other non-conventional assets, right? Like stakeholders in businesses, in private companies or publicly listed companies, will sit within that family office structure. Now, what that gives you is the word governance, because you are then able to put your beneficiaries as, you know, key stakeholders of those entities. Just the way a firm, a typical company will run. There are KPIs, there are SOPs, there are policies and processes that guides how things will be done. Now, what that does for you under law is what we call first heirship. First heirship is very simple. You have a beneficiary that is not really interested, but for them to get a piece of the inheritance, they have to form part of that governance structure for them to gain something. Think about Rockefeller Foundation. It's been around for how many years? Somebody sat down to deliberately create a foundation that assets were ceded to, and it's been on for many years. In fact, not just for the beneficiaries that are, you know, within the intergeneration, but even to the outside world. So creating things like a charitable organization, a family office, an endowment, a foundation can help you put proper structures in place to drive inheritance planning and ensure that it goes across generation. Another example within our space will be that, I mean, she mentioned a dear friend to the family, Ebert. He has a trust, they have a family office, he had a will, and you know, all of those things. They were structures put in place. So just imagine for a second that those structures were in there, and all of this drama is currently happening. Sure. So governance structures are very important when you think about these things, because they help you with succession planning and even tax management. Thank you.
Excellent. All right, fantastic. Now, Dr. Bashir, here's a real challenge: a single property, multiple heirs, and fixed shares. How does Islamic law protect women and children in cases like this? And what are some of the practical solutions that ensure fairness while honoring religious guidelines?
Yeah, Islam provides for joint ownership of property, and then you are free to create a governance structure that will be functional and that will protect the rights of every party. And it also protects the asset itself from the interference of a third party, in that even if one wants to go out, the other parties, the other partners, they have got the right of first refusal, which is shufa'a. And for women and children, women, they have a right to their property the moment they get married and the marriage is consummated. So they have a right to their property, and they don't need a guardian to protect their property. But for children, there has to be a guardian, which is one of three: either a guardian, either an executor appointed by the benefactor, or a guardian appointed by him who will be a guardian over the wealth, because guardianship is either over a person or over wealth. And the other one is the one that is what they call muqaddamul qadi, that is the one that is appointed by a judge. Children are not supposed to be left without a guardian under any circumstances. And that was why we envisage in the draft code the creation of what we call Zawren Sulhu. These are community offices that will be putting they will watch over what is happening to their neighbors, so that in houses whereby the children are left without a guardian, or their property is being squandered by the guardian, they have a locus to take the case to the court so that there will be intervention of the legal process to protect their interests. One important thing to realize regarding the succession is that you don't leave everything to the inheritance. Regarding gifts, when somebody in his proper state of health, he is free to donate 100% of his property as gift. And wasiya, it is restricted definitely, and the same also as waqf. Waqf, you are entitled to give 100% of your property as waqf. So it will depend, it's not that you are forced by inheritance to restrict what your succession is going to be. You can use those other tools, and the rules regarding gifts and the rules regarding waqf are very, very very flexible, and they can be tailored to the interests of the benefactor as well as the interests of the beneficiaries.
Perfect. Excellent. Mr. Laulu, I will put you in the hot seat and ask if there is anything you want to make sure they do not, as they leave this event today, they do not forget. What is it with regard to real estate that is the best advice you can give in 3 minutes?
Thank you. I think I'll close by saying that one of the, again, with our trust business and engaging with families, one of the things we find is inherent in the name, trust. In terms of people's estates, there's always the concern of who do I trust? And there's also that, it's almost like taking a leap of faith, and how do you move from having created this wealth and then trusting a corporate? And I would argue that it's useful for everyone to try and engage in the Q&A session, or just speak to CardinalStone employees after, to understand, because I think once you're able to bridge that trust gap, I think the affinity or desire to plan then becomes easier. In terms of the thoughts around what sort of advice I would give in terms of investing in real estate, as I'd sort of started, I think it's important to focus on the real estate investment and what the objective is. Very often, sometimes the objective is fairly opportunistic, where, you know, if somebody brings an opportunity and you have liquidity. It's important to understand, especially within the context of estate planning, that the transferability and divisibility is a very important aspect. So as opposed to buying a 7-bed mansion, maybe buy a few 3-bed flats. It will work out as the same value, and it's easier to distribute from a liquidity perspective, and also in terms of the cash flows that each of those assets can provide. But I think I would also advocate that it's possible to also look at real estate from a structured perspective. So what that means is looking at real estate linked products such as REITs. There are not very many local, but there are international REIT products. And I think CardinalStone Real Assets will be coming to market with a few of those as well. And what that allows you to do is have exposure to real estate investments without having the need to put structures and your name around it, but it gives you exposure to value and income.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think Ms. Femi wants to add a word quickly. Yeah. Then we will go to Miss Olainka.
Thank you. So one part that we've left out, we've spoken a lot about trusts, real estate, is the fact that there are different asset classes that can sit within the structure. And I think that's very important. So at CardinalStone, we are into asset management. So when you talk about buying shares on the Nigerian exchange, when you talk about mutual funds, when you talk about even doing the conventional instruments like treasury bills, commercial papers, structuring a portfolio, all of these are assets that I'm so sure each and every one of us in this room will have. And we should not just think about what we are speaking today in the aspect of real estate only, but all instruments, financial assets, including your pensions. Lucky us, we have CardinalStone's pension. When you think about pension, you would know that even the law prescribes that you must have an instrument
before your beneficiaries can access your pension if you are no longer here. So I thought it well to just put it out there that it's not only real estate, all financial assets and other asset classes play within the structure. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Then Ms. Olainka, we are coming back to you. Inheriting real estate sounds very glamorous until stamp duties, capital gains, and dozens of cousins show up at your doorstep with keys waiting to get a slice of the cake. What are the real challenges families face when passing down property, and how can tax-smart strategies and trust structures keep the assets and keep the peace intact? Ms. Olainka, over to you.
Okay, yeah, so, well, like I said before, definitely when assets are being transferred, I've mentioned a couple of the taxes that actually come up, and also, I was also mentioned as well that maybe in terms of perhaps you have held all those assets, maybe using a particular business, you know, so you have held, the family has shares in that business, you know. So if that's the case as well, you know, transfer taxes will come up, and the main transfer tax in Nigeria is capital gains tax. And basically, when it comes to capital gains tax as well, there are limits, there are kind of conditions, there are kind of reliefs, there are kind of planning opportunities available. Like I said earlier, you have to just planning opportunities available so that you can plan around it, right? So for instance, if you're kind of transferring, say, shares, right, to your beneficiaries or to the next generation, right, for share transfers, the proceeds should be less than 100 million naira if you want to have, if you want to be exempted from CGT. So if it's a private business that you're if the business is actually a private business, you can actually now work around it and ensure that whatever value, whatever sales proceeds that you're going to be using, that you're going to be, that is going to arise from that transaction, right, is less than 100 million, so that you can claim that exemption, right? Another area again that you can also look at is that one of the exemptions is also that if it's a share transfer, for instance, the proceeds needs to be reinvested in the shares of another company that same year. You can also put plans in place to follow suit with that. You know, the big family may have maybe other businesses, and once you have the proceeds, reinvest in that one, right? So that you just, for that window, you know, are able to plan your taxes properly, you know, for that window, right? So one major that is good that, but I think that has been mentioned by my friend is gifting, right? When you get spring transfers, gifts fall under capital gains tax threshold, however, type 10. So although it's taxable under CGT, it's actually exempted, so I was still with that 0%. So you can consider using gifts as well as a tool, right, where you are doing all those transfers. So that means you're going to be using the deed of gifts, right? And but one thing that I must also now say.
Yes, your final point, please. Yes.
It's good to put a sustainable structure in place, so that you don't have to be transferring from one generation you now transfer, when the next generation comes you want to transfer again, the next you want to transfer again. So these are kind of this type of actually create tax leakages, create cost leakages and expense leakages. So you can do just a one-time transfer to a structure that best works for you, whether it's trust, foundation, or corporate entity. Once you have done that one-time transfer, you can now modify say the shareholder agreement, modify the trust deed, modify the foundation charter, modify it to accommodate new beneficiaries as they come in, rather than continually, you know, doing transfers, you know, periodically.
Fantastic.
So, thank you.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate you joining us. We wish you were here in person. I know Ms. Hiba just wants to add one last thing, and then we will go straight into the Q&A section. Yes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank His Eminence and our Royal Father, and also our scholar for the wonderful initiative that they have put in place. However, as a lawyer, I believe that regulation is very important. So especially to the members, you know, of society, the downtrodden, because we have so many pathetic stories of women that lose their husbands and then they have no rights whatsoever to inheritance, and it's a chaos. So if it perhaps, I don't know, Muslims in position of authority, kind of create a regulating body. So whoever is the person, whether it's an imam, whether it's a sheikh, whether it's an emir, whoever it is that is going to pronounce this division of the property or inheritance or whatever it is, there should be a kind of backing. There should be kind of a knowledge base or recognition that yes, he is qualified. And whatever it is that he does or does not do, there is a body that he can report to. So that's what I want to just add.
Dr. Bashir, do you want to say one last word? You're good. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. Please give a huge round of applause to our distinguished panelists. Now, it's your turn to join the party. So who would like to ask questions? And I have a gentleman here who will bring the mic to you. Please just mention your name, the company you work with, and then go straight to the point. Please don't go into a lecture. Ask a question. Thank you very much. Who would like to ask? Okay, there's a hand here. Okay, you've got one there.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chika Wangu, recently retired. I just want to find out, apart from setting up this trust, what do you do when your relations now context your will? You answered it in part, but I want you to give more context to it. How does CardinalStone come in and to assist to prevent this uphill task of each time people die, they are contesting will, even when the person actually has a will? Thank you.
Excellent. Ms. Femi. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So when you have a will, like you've said, it can still be contested, but immediately that issue is resolved in court and the court order is made or the judgment is made, you can stand by it, even though people can then go to court of appeal and go to Supreme Court and all of that to deal with issues. Now, you can't really do much when those disputes happen, in as much as the structure, the judgment given on previous, that is precedents, on previous issues stand, and they were not, overridden by either the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court. It stands. Whoever is still going to court, same thing will apply. I must say that a lot of times, people don't structure some of these things well, is why these disputes actually happen, right? And I will give you a classical example. I've seen situations in my career where in fact, no. Let's look at Larry King, for example. We all know Larry King. Larry King had a will, but it was just a page or 2 pages of paper that says that all my asset funds, distribute it to 1, 2, 3, and he described it. There was nothing else in that document that talked about executors, that talked about assets acquired after the fact, that is, after that will was drafted. There was nothing that speaks to, in case a dispute arises, what should happen, or residual estates. So when the proper structures are not in place, or sometimes even when they're in place, disputes will happen, is then left to the court of law to, adjudicate the issue and say how things will be done. For us as trustees, part of our job is fiduciary services. So when these issues happen and you come to us, we can give you guidance working with the likes of the legal practitioners. I'm a lawyer too. I am just no longer practicing. I left my wig and gown a couple of years ago, right? We can work with the legal experts to then help you find solutions to this problem and resolve things amicably. And I can speak to you after the event, ma'am, and we look into things. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Who's asking the next question? Your name and the question, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Mariam Ibrahim.
A bit louder. Could you speak a little louder, please?
Good afternoon. My name is Mariam Ibrahim.
Okay.
I wanted to ask the 1/3. So this question, I'm throwing it to Dr. Tani or Dr. Boko.
Sorry, we missed the question? Okay.
My name is Mariam Ibrahim, Inverness Wealth Management. My question is, to Dr. Bashir or Mr. Thani, and it's in reference to the 1/3. The 1/3, who can't you give it to? Who can't you will the 1/3 out to?
Interesting. Dr. Bashir.
Thank you.
So who is excluded from the 1/3?
Yeah, the 1/3 is the amount of your wealth that you can set aside as wasiya, as a will, and you can give it to any person or to any cause or to any institution, so long as that person is not one of the inheritors. If he happens to be one of the heirs, it has to be with the consent of the remaining heirs. If they are different, then the ones that approve, the 1/3 will be taken pro rata from their own share. And those who do not agree, they will have their share intact. Also, it cannot be more than 1/3. You can do a will of more than 1/3, but it has to be with the agreement of the heirs as well. Okay. If they don't agree, then it will be limited to 1/3 or be taken pro rata.
Excellent.
And also, this applies to any gift which you give while in a state of terminal illness. It will be considered as wasiya, even if you don't say it is wasiya. The moment you do that, you give that gift, or you set that waqf during an illness that is adjudged a terminal illness, it is given the judgment of wasiya. It is restricted to 1/3, and that the beneficiary must not be part of the inheritors.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Oh, yes. We need the mic in front. Serki wants to add something. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mary.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to make one small comment. I think it was something I wanted to mention in my keynote. And this is really for CardinalStone and for all of us who are advising people on intergenerational wealth. If you look at something like the French sociologist Pierre Bourdieu, his analysis shows how between the 19th century and the 20th century in Europe, the idea of intergenerational wealth has changed. In the 19th century, wanted to leave money and assets for their children. In the 20th century, they invested in those children, give them the highest quality education, sent them to the best schools, all those connections, and the children ended up being much richer than the parents, even though the parents did not leave them with money. And I think it's something we need to start thinking about. People should stop worrying about how much money they're going to leave their children.
Yes, teach them to fish.
How many houses they're going to leave, how many shares they're going to leave. While you're alive, spend all that money. I mean, we're penny wise, pound foolish. We don't want to invest a lot in education, and we leave children who are not educated, who don't even know how to manage the money after we've gone. So I think the idea of wealth itself and transfer of wealth is something that we need to continue to revisit and explain to people that the best way to transfer wealth to your children is to invest in them while you're alive, in their education and their capacity to earn, rather than in what you leave behind. And that's the first point. The second point for Muslims, and I think Imam Bashir mentioned this, understand the difference between what is a will and what is a gift. The fact that you cannot will more than 1/3 of your wealth to non-heirs does not stop you from gifting them while you're alive. So you can actually gift your child, your 5-year-old child, money and say, this is a gift for you, it's kept for you, it is to pay for your education. That is taken out of inheritance. It's not a will. You're alive, you're in your senses, you've given that amount as a gift.
okay? And that is different. Just like we give our children houses, or you give them cars, you know, or you give them money, that is a gift. It's not something that's counted as a wasiyah. But many people have this idea that because you cannot give more than 1/3 as a will, then it's a limit also on the gift. I think these just difference between hiba and wasiyah and waqf, understanding those differences is very important in how we manage wealth.
Fantastic. I think that's the last question, which means you did the topics justice. Okay, one more? Okay.
Bismillahir Rahmanir
My
Rahim.
mama.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My own is not really a question, it's just a little contribution from all the topics that have been discussed. Number one, I want to advise all the financial houses like the CardinalStone and other people here that they spoke about the institutions or the business regarded to the topic we are talking about, that they should operate from the Islamic point of view as well. Should have a window that operates according to the Islamic law. Me, for example, I was approached long time by Barrister Hiba's first employer. I don't know, was it Cardinal? No. And what hesitated me from dealing with them is that they are purely applying the Western interest system. And as a Muslim, I refuse that approach. So I advise here that we should have good attention to the Islamic law in investment and inheritance and business, so that will encourage people who are oriented in that way to deal with it.
Thank you very much. We have to end. Okay.
Secondly,
One
just
minute
a
more.
minute, less
Okay.
than a minute, inshallah. I want to advise everybody that the issue of will should come very early in life. We don't need to wait till we are 70 or 80 years before we start to put our own will. According to the teachings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a Muslim, matured Muslim, yani baligh, should not sleep a night without putting his will. So the will should go as early as possible and be reviewed properly from time to time to keep the changes and the new interests.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please give our panelists a warm applause. And Ms. Olainka, who has joined us from Lagos as well, thank you as our tax expert for your contribution. Now it is time for us to do photographs. So I will ask the panelists to please stay put because I've been given instructions on the order we will do it. So first we would like the founders to please join us on stage for a group picture before we invite our Baba, Sarki, to join us with the founders and directors as well. So please, may I ask the founders to please make their way to the stage, and I think we have someone who will direct how they would stand. All right. I think so, yeah. Photographer, they stand? Okay. Can I get my microphone back, please? All right. Are we complete, the founders? Are you complete? One more. Yes, one more. He's coming. All right. All right. Fantastic. Let us know when you're done. That's it? All right. Thank you to our panelists. You can make your way back to your seats. Thank you very much for your contribution, sharing your wisdom and knowledge. We really appreciate it. Thank you. I would like to ask the founders to stay up on stage and the directors to also of CardinalStone, please come on stage while we invite Sarki to please join us up here for a group picture. The founders and directors, please come up on stage. We have to have the brolly. Awesome. This is a picture I really want to photobomb. All right. In the meantime, I would like the founders and the senior management to please join Sarki on stage, the founders and senior management. Fantastic. And then Sarki can take his seat. Thank you very much, sir. And I will ask the founders and senior management to please stay on the stage. All right, thank you very much, sir. Please give him a big round of applause as he takes his leave. Thank you for joining us, sir. We truly appreciate you honoring this special occasion. Ran Sarki Adade, Alajaza Mani. Got that one right. I got it right, man. All right. So, oh yeah, take your picture. Oh yeah, take your picture. So founders and senior management, take your picture. The next picture is going to be the founders alone. All right, the founders alone. Perfect, okay. Then I would like to invite to give the closing remarks the co-founder and GCEO, Mr. Michael Nzewi, to please come and give the closing remarks. And then you can all sit, eat, and drink, and be merry. Please come on up. Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I hope we've had a very, very intellectually stimulating session. I would like to say that everything that has to do with assets and finance are usually a lot more complicated than we think. It's been a very eye-opening session for myself as well, because I haven't really paid a lot of attention to these issues of asset transfer and inheritance and all of that. But I think without taking too much of our time, I would like to say that if we didn't leave here not taking anything away, is the fact that we need to be very, very strategic about what we do about our estate planning and inheritance. We need to be very, very intentional about it, and we need to be very, very proactive about it. like our royal father said, we all usually pay a lot of experience to houses and assets and, you know, how many houses did we leave for our children and so on and so forth. But I think one other thing we should take away from this session this afternoon is that the most significant asset or the most significant wealth we can actually leave for our children is to improve their capacity to create wealth. And he reiterated it. I heard how many times he talked about education. We are all here today partly because of the education we've had and the path that education has led us to. All right, so I think that's one thing we should also take away from this session as we plan for these estates and for these assets and for this inheritance. We should focus a lot on educating the people that we've brought into this world, and as much as possible making provision for their education in the event that the unexpected happens. You know, he stressed it a lot. We're all going to leave someday. You know, we're all going to leave this place someday. So, but it's something we don't usually like to talk about. But, you know, as a finance person, I've gotten very used to talking about death and planning for death with customers over the years. And I think that's another thing I would like a lot of us to leave here with today. We should imbibe that into our DNA. In the end, it's for a better cause for all of us and the people we are leaving behind. I would also like to take a minute just to talk a bit about CardinalStone, because I'm not sure many people in Abuja know very well about CardinalStone and what we do. So CardinalStone is a full service investment banking firm, and what I mean by full service is we literally provide all the spectrum of investment banking services, from investment banking itself, asset management, trustees. We also have a registrar business, we have a private equity business, and we have a securities trading business. And more recently, last year, we bought a pension fund administrator as well. So CardinalStone today also has a pension fund administrator. We have been in Abuja for quite some time, but this is our first event in Abuja, and our commitment to the region is that we'll get more involved here. We will try and provide a lot more of the services we do in Lagos. We'll bring more of it to Abuja, and will be more available from the perspective of our leadership team in this region to support, you know, the development and all of what is going on here. On a final note, I think I'll ask all of us to stay back a bit, have some food with us, and then also do some networking with some of our staff and amongst ourselves who are here this afternoon. Thank you all very much for coming, and I also want to thank the team who put this event together. The executives at our trustee business, the executives at our asset management business, both in Lagos and in Abuja, have been very, very supportive, and we want to say a very big thank you for coming all the way from Lagos to Abuja with us on this, and for His Royal Highness, who also graced the occasion with his presence. Thank you, everyone, and we hope to see you all in the very near future when we have our next event.
Thank you very much. Now, this session has made one thing clear. Wealth transfer isn't just about writing a will. It's about being intentional, strategic, and sometimes being brutally honest with ourselves and our loved ones. It's about doing the right thing now in order to have our legacies sustained, and that it doesn't get truncated by fighting loved ones. Thank you to all our panelists, and our experts for your time, your insight, and your wisdom. And to everyone here, may your legacies live long, long after you are gone. May your taxes be low, and may your family group chats be peaceful long after you're gone as well. Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.